On this episode of Ashes 613, I talk with Forsaken Heroes founder and frontman Casey Price about Star Wars, Stratocasters, and getting stranded in New Jersey. Stay tuned to find out how this small band Casey formed in high school went on to become a quadruple Dove-nominated band, and why you don't want to miss a single moment of Forsaken Hero. Hi, how are you?
Hello. Good.
So-
You?
I'm Bella. I'm good. And you are Casey?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, it's nice to meet you. And already I'm super impressed, Casey, with all that you have going on there in the background.
I am an avid Star Wars and Marvel collector. All my Star Wars stuff is here, and my Marvel stuff is on this wall over here.
It's fantastic.
Can't really see it with you right now, but yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I have some, I'm not necessarily a Star Wars collector, but I do have some action figures from when my older brothers were little. So some of like the original, I don't know, I guess that was the 70s probably.
Yeah. If you have any from the original 77 series, some of those are worth some money if you have any of those.
I still have some somewhere in the packages, because my oldest brother Sean is real kind of it's a nice word to say it, persnickety.
Yeah.
Even as a child was persnickety. And so
I gotcha.
he never opened his toys and still have little price tags. I don't know why he doesn't have them. If I come across them, I need to probably return them.
Yeah, I mean, if they're in the package, then you might be looking at some money right there.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I remember thinking they just kind of got tossed around. You know, girls sometimes will save stuff.
Yeah.
Boys don't. Even as a kid, I was like, well, look at all these Star Wars toys that are still in the packages. And so I just kind of put them in my dresser drawer. And as I moved around and as an adult, every time I moved, I just repackage up those Star Wars toys. And then my son has a lot from when he was little. So
I gotcha.
That's really cool. I love that.
Well,
I knew a guy in Nashville named Johnny Schweitzer. He was the audio engineer for Smash Mouth way back.
Okay.
And he was such a Star Wars fan. And for his birthday one year, Smash Mouth arranged for him to meet. Now, tell me who the guy is that wrote Star Wars.
George Lucas.
George Lucas. They arranged for him to meet George Lucas and have lunch and like go to the show and see all the stuff, because he was just huge. And he had a whole entire room in his house there in Nashville completely dedicated. He probably still does. I mean, he was around my age, so he's probably still kicking it down there. But yeah.
I gotcha. Well, that's funny. That would be a dream come true to meet George Lucas. That's crazy.
What he said. That's when he was telling me that. That's what he said. And we lived next door to him for some years. And so my son was a little at the time, 3 or 4, huge Smash Mouth fan. And so Johnny would call up Steve and let him talk to my son on the phone. And my son
gotcha. Now, Steve's the one that just passed away.
Yeah. And then, he would send it. He's got a couple birthday presents that Steve would send him, and he would always write, "To my biggest little fan." And so that was kind of devastating to my son when he just,
I'm sure.
So anyway, so enough about Star Wars and Smash Mouth. So how was your day been?
Good. Just got back from doing some work just now. I work about an hour away from home, so I just got home and kind of said hi to the wife and the dog and played with them a bit, and then came up to the studio to start getting ready for this.
So what kind of dog do you have?
I have a Border Collie Australian Shepherd mix. So he looks mostly like a Border Collie. He's black and white.
I have a Border Collie Brittany Spaniel. They call them Border Spaniels or Brittany. Okay. Border Spaniel. She's beautiful. She mostly looks like a Border Collie too. She's actually, the Brittany Spaniel makes her a little prettier because she's got the shorter, pretty Cocker Spaniel ears, like the Spaniel ears, and her nose is a little shorter, and she's freckled from the Spaniel on her feet. But other than that, she looks like so she's like, and people see her and they'll say, that's the prettiest Border Collie I've ever seen. And I have to tell them she is, because she has Spaniel in her. Those Spaniels are just beautiful dogs anyway. Yeah. But right. So yeah, I have a part Border Collie. She is super smart. Is yours?
Yeah, he's super smart. Yeah.
I bet
he caught on to all the training stuff really, really fast, like early on. Like I thought it was longer, but then when I went back and watched videos, it was like within days we had him doing sit and doing tricks and stuff. And those
are both
training him to outside.
Yeah, well, both those, even Australian Shepherds, those are two very, very
Hmm.
smart breeds of
He's just
dogs.
the
So,
big thing is just he's very active, which is because they're herding dogs. So he's got to get his exercise in because we live in an
right.
apartment and everything. So we're throwing a ball up the stairs, getting him to run up and down the stairs, trying to exercise him. Because if he doesn't, he starts getting like not aggressive, but he's really annoying if you don't get him tired out because he
If
won't
you
leave
don't,
you alone.
right, right. Yes, I understand. I have a Dalmatian, so I
Oh,
completely
okay.
understand that. Yeah, he's the same way. He is annoying and he does get not aggressive to us, but sometimes
Hmm.
aggressive to other people. So
I
you
gotcha.
said you had a special needs client. So you in Kentucky?
No, I'm in Virginia.
You're in Virginia. Why did I
Hmm.
think you
Yeah,
were in
right on the
Kentucky?
Virginia-Tennessee border. So like my client that I work with lives like he lives almost across like he's like right at the edge of the Virginia border. So I'm like always in Virginia and Tennessee because I'm like right on that edge. So we
Right.
live just we can just hop over to Tennessee anytime.
That's fantastic. So how
Hmm.
far is it to like say Gatlinburg?
Uh, Hour and a half.
Perfect. It's one of my favorite places in the
Hmm.
United States. No matter
Yep.
where I go, I'm just always like, I'd like to go back to Gatlinburg.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
Gatlinburg. I was just talking about that today because one of my friends is just booked. They've been trying to book a stay at the Margaritaville at the island. They just got it booked today, and they were all excited.
that's where we always stay at the island. It's perfect because it's like self-contained. And then if you want, you can take a trolley down into downtown
Yeah,
Gatlinburg. You don't have
exactly.
to worry about traffic.
And
It's
it's really
perfect.
inexpensive. I think I went there with one of my special needs clients a couple of years ago, and when I got off work, I had a season pass to Dollywood, and I think it was $2 to take the trolley to Dollywood and
So
back. So I
cheap.
mean, no big
Yeah.
deal at all.
I'll tell you a little story about that though. If and some people may know, I did not know. We took the
Hmm.
trolley into Gatlinburg, and as we were coming back, it stops right there at the island at Pigeon Forge and lets people
Hmm.
off. And I thought, well, we're just gonna ride up a little bit. We weren't in any hurry, and let's just see the rest of like Sevierville or whatever, and let's just see what's going on.
Hmm.
Oh, it rides up this way for an hour or an hour and a half and goes into I don't know where, but it starts picking up like just random people that live there and taking them to like Walmart and Publix or wherever they need to go
Oh,
and
really?
picks
Is
them
this
up.
like the
And
green and brown buses?
yes, it's like
Okay, well, that's crazy.
like the tourist trolleys, right? And
Well, I guess
after
it
it
just I guess it's Horace Trolley, but I guess within that, I guess it's just main public like public transportation through Pigeon
it
Forge. I guess.
is, it becomes public transportation and then you're stuck on it until it goes all the way to the end, wherever it goes, and then
Hmm.
comes all the way back. And then, so we were stuck on this trolley for like 2 hours, and my kids were so mad at me.
Well, see, we
But
we had we had a similar incident happen in New York City. We're going next week, so I always try to remind myself about it. We stay at the very edge of New Jersey. We stay the
okay.
hotel. Once you leave
Mm-hmm.
it, the parking lot is entering into the Lincoln Tunnel, so it's like going right into New York City.
Oh,
So like,
okay.
there's this bus service that the hotel and a bunch of other hotels have. It's a New Jersey public service, but it's not like the big buses. It's like little transits, like I guess
Okay.
30 passengers at most, maybe. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like $3. So we're like, heck yeah. So that's why we always stay at that hotel because they drop you right off at Times Square. But when we came
Okay.
back the first time, they didn't tell us because there's a giant median in the road at our hotel that they won't. They were all of the people there were Oriental. They didn't speak a whole lot of English, so they didn't really like give you a lot of directions just because most people riding are locals. And
Right.
like on the way back in, they did not tell us that they can't drop off at our hotel. They have to drop us at this gas station up the street, and we have to walk across a bridge and then walk down
Oh,
the street. And so we just keep going. And we're like, well, there's the hotel. And like, I was like, well, maybe I have to loop around. And then we sat there for about 20 minutes as it just kept going deeper into New Jersey. And I finally asked the guy, I said, are you going to go back that way to the hotel? And he's like, no, you were supposed to get off at this gas station. And I'm like, what do I do? He's like, I'm going to be going to the other side of New Jersey, basically, and stopping for the night. You're going to have to get off at this bus stop and try and find another bus. So at the next stop, we stopped and we waited about 15 minutes, but this is at 11 o'clock at night in New Jersey in the pitch black under a little street lamp. And we waited about maybe 5-10 minutes. And I finally said, we're just going to have to bite the bullet and pay for an Uber. And it wasn't bad. It was maybe $20 to get an Uber. I mean, but as opposed to $3 for the bus. That was annoying, but I didn't want to stand on that street corner any longer because I just started watching The Sopranos like a week before. So I was really nervous about mob activity in New Jersey and stuff.
Right.
So it was pretty wild.
So, what are you going to New York for next week? I know you said you were going.
Our anniversary is September 19th. This will be our third wedding anniversary. And so we just go up we
Okay.
go different places every year. Last year we went to Niagara Falls and then New York City for the first time. And then we
Okay.
went to New York City at Christmas time too. So this will be our third time in New York City. But the main reason we go is Broadway plays and stuff because we're really into theater. And
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
be, yeah.
I would love to live in the city. I have a friend from Lexington that just moved to the city, and I'm
Mhm.
so happy for her, but I'm a little jealous too. And she
Yeah.
posted pictures. She said, "Well, I'm home. I mean, New York has my heart. This is where I was meant to be." And I'm like, "That's
Mhm.
so awesome." But I thought maybe you're going for something like music Forsaken Hero related. So it's just personal. I'm sorry, I wouldn't ask
Yeah.
you about your personal life.
No,
I
it's fine. It's
just
fine.
tell us about you are one of how many members are there in your band Forsaken Hero?
I always have to count it because I'm dumb like that. I think it's five. Yeah, there's five of us, five in the
There's
band
five of you.
officially. My
Now,
sister and I are the band, like the main band, and there's these three brothers that play with us, David, Marcus, and Matthew. And
oh, okay.
as we had different band members throughout the years, like we got a drummer, we got David, who's our drummer. He became our drummer, and then as one of our guitar players left, his brother became our guitarist, and then as our bass player left, their other brother became our bass player, piano player. So they were always just originally supposed to be the road band because we would go to Nashville, just me and Emily, and track with a producer and stuff. And then eventually they've just started playing with us for so many years now that we started allowing them to write more with us. And so this new album that we put out, like they actually tracked a lot on it. And
Okay.
like Matthew, our bass player, piano player, because see, I produced most of this album, but he produced the song "Never Gonna Stop" because he's started a studio out of his house and started producing. So that was really cool because we like bounced back and forth because the three of them lived together, so they were working on their ideas together and sending it back and forth, and so that's kind of how we collaborated together on the album. And never really, even though we don't live far apart or anything, we were never even in the same room while we were recording the album most of the times.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think I was just talking to somebody else about how almost everything is done with computers, even the
Hmm.
podcast, ship it over to editing, gets shipped back to
Yep.
me. It's just everything is just kind of done online nowadays. But
Yeah.
when did you start this band, Forsaken Hero?
I started the band in 2011 when I was in high school, so it's been a
Okay.
while. So I was a high school project, and then my sister joined as she got a little bit older because she's about 4 years younger than me. So at that time she was like 12, and so we
Okay.
just
Right.
it seems weird now because I'm almost getting close to 30 and she's in her mid 20s, but we've
Right.
been doing this since we were kids pretty much. Our
Right.
mom was a singer. Our mom sings in churches and stuff, and so that's kind of where we were singing from an early age, and just kind of always knew that music was going to somehow be part of our lives. So yeah, so we've
Right.
been doing it for that long. This current lineup has only been together since like 2018, like with the three brothers playing with us, 2018, and that was when we kind of shifted because we used to be kind of more of a heavier rock band, kind of more like a Skillet type band.
Yeah.
And then in 2018, I had wrote a Christmas song, and I went to Nashville and worked with one of the members of Disciple, and he produced
Mhm.
it. And I was like, he can have some of our rock roots, but I really want this Christmas song to have like a CCM Christian contemporary vibe. And that was the first song we sent to radio, and then it hit the Billboard charts. So I was like, okay, I think this is the lane we need to be in. So it's like our music is kind of Christian contemporary, but it also still has like pop rock elements. It's got a lot of synth and things in it now. So we're kind of more like pop rock Christian contemporary band.
Right. Yeah, and I love all of it, the early stuff and the later stuff. And is that Christmas song that wouldn't be Born in Bethlehem, would it?
Yes, it's Morning
Is
Bethlehem.
that
Yes.
I love that song. I
Well,
love
thank
that
you.
song. That's a really good one. Did you wrote that?
Yes.
Do
Yeah,
you
I wrote
do
it for a church thing that I was doing for a Methodist church. They were
okay.
wanting me to play a Christmas song, and I was like, "Well, I kind of have this idea about a Christmas song that I'm kind of trying to write." So then that kind of like pushed me to write it, and then it got like a lot of good reception, even just playing it. And I was like, "Well, this might be something." And then like
Right.
2 years later, took it and recorded it. And I was already playing it for maybe 1 or 2 years before I actually tracked it and in
Right.
Nashville.
Do you think is that good to play songs that long before you track them? Do you become really good at them then that way, or do you
Um,
find that
I
it's
I wouldn't do it that way now. That was how I did it then when it was just when we were working with other people, and that was our first time going to a professional producer in Nashville and doing that. Now, since then, I've learned from him and other professional producers, and I built my own studio. So the second I have an idea, I'm putting it on the computer. I'm working on it. So like this new album that we did, I produced 80% of it, other than the song I was talking about that the other guy did, and then the Reliable song with Neon Feather, he produced that one. Um,
okay?
so when I have a song idea, like it's more crafted in the studio first now than played out.
Okay. Okay.
I would never play out a song until it's like it doesn't have to be released, but it has to at least been finished in the studio enough that like this is the structure of the song. I don't think it's a
Gotcha.
bad thing to do it that way, to find the song that way. It's just that's how I was then, and I'm in a different place in my musical
Right.
journey now.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, we grow and learn, and there's always a learning curve with anything, not just music, with everything you do. There's just a learning curve, and then you kind of
Right.
wind your way around that. But do you write most of are you the main songwriter?
Yes, I am the main songwriter for most of everything. My sister writes some of the lyrics for some of the songs, or she might help me tweak lyrics. Sometimes my dad gives me input on songs and helps. There are, I can't think of if any of the songs on this album were done, but like our song Drop Your Chains, that was co-written by DJ Lasimbi of the band We Are Called, and
Hmm.
he co-wrote the other Christmas song, My Favorite Time of Year. We co-wrote that one together, and
Okay.
we're on the record label that he now owns, Tone Crash Records, and so he's kind of one of my writing partners on stuff, and we're talking about doing some stuff in the future soon. So most songs are written, especially lyric wise. Most songs are me, and then my sister some. Musically, structure wise, mostly me, but now the other guys are getting more involved in writing the music with us.
Gotcha. So what's it like to be on the road and play shows? Like, what's that like? I mean,
It's a lot of fun.
for those of us that don't get to do it.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, we don't like right now where we've been so busy with the album, we didn't do a lot of playing out like we normally would. Normally, we'd be going to like Indiana and Wisconsin and places like that. So this year we didn't do a lot of that because we were so busy working on the album. But when we do it, it's really fun, and I've went out and toured with other bands and everything, and it is it. When I was a kid, I didn't get it when people say it was like hard to be away from your family and stuff. But then once I got married and everything, if my wife
Yeah.
wasn't with me, it was really weird. So she's
Yeah.
like our sound person now and stuff. So it's really nice having her with us
Good.
and
Yeah.
having her on the road. Um, but I mean, I love it. There's lots of things to love about it.
Right.
I love to travel just in general, even when it's not playing music. That's what I love to do is travel and see the world and things like that.
So I've heard some musicians prefer to make albums and some prefer to tour. What do you prefer? You prefer touring?
I think if you had asked me 5 years ago, I would have still been like, yes, I prefer touring, I prefer that. But now that I work on my own music and I produce other artists, I'm getting to where that's more the thing that I
That's
think
your
I
thing.
like. I like being able to just sit at home and make music, and then when I'm done, turn it off and go downstairs and watch a movie with my wife, hang out with my dog, that kind of thing. Whereas like when you're on the road, it's music, 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 and it's like you
Right.
feel like almost like you're having to find times to get away from the music.
Right.
So it's just one of those things. I still like touring, and if now don't get me
Right.
wrong, if a big band like Skillet or somebody was like, "Hey, come out on tour with us," like I would do it in a heartbeat. It's just there are things that I one of the big things was I got to see a lot of cool places on my first big tour across the
Yeah.
country, but then I instantly wanted to go back because I felt like I really didn't get to see them. I was there, but I was busy playing music.
Yeah.
And like I hear a lot of
Yeah.
people say that, like they feel like a lot of people who are on Winter Jam, they say, "Yeah, I'm in this cool city every night, but it feels like I'm doing the exact same thing every night because we're in an arena every single night doing the exact same thing. It feels like you're like in Groundhog Day or something. It's the same day over and over again."
Doesn't Morgan Wallen have a line in one of his songs that says something, I can't remember exact, but the words is, seeing the world ain't the same as seeing the world through the window of this bus. Right?
Yeah, yeah. I
So
don't know if he
something
says
like
that.
that.
I don't. I don't
Yeah,
really listen to Morgan Wallen,
it's in one of
but
his songs. I just remember
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I have a friend that's one of his, I think, sound techs right now. A guy that used to work with New Song and then worked on the
yeah.
drive-in tours with, I think, Toby Mac. He's working with Morgan Wallen right now. So my
Is
sister's
he?
been talking a lot about Morgan Wallen, but I don't really listen to a lot of that. I'm not really
Well,
much of a country guy.
I'm a big Morgan Wallen person. So that's a line in one
I
of those
got you.
songs. So I don't know verbatim, but I mean, I listen to
I
all
got you.
music, country,
Yeah,
Christian. I listen to rock and rap. It doesn't
I got
matter.
you.
But yeah, but that's awesome. But yeah, I think you're right that's, we just assume that these bands are touring the world and touring the country. And like, I'm so jealous you're getting to see all these places, but they don't get to see all these places. They go to these cities, they go to these arenas, they go to the next city, go to the
Mhm.
arena. So that may get a little old. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean,
But
I guess if you're like big like Taylor Swift or somebody, you probably have
that
everyone working under you to do everything, and you can go do whatever you want and then just show
go
up at
do
showtime. But when you're in a smaller band, you're over everything, so you've got to be
yeah,
there early in the
yeah.
morning, setting up and making sure all your equipment's working properly and all that. So you don't have a lot of free time when you're on the road.
Gotta be your own stagehand. Dang it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I had something I was gonna say, but I can't remember what it was now. Oh, I'm gonna tag Skillet and see if I can get you on tour with them. I'm fearless. I am. I don't have. I'll just reach. I'll send them a message.
I got it. Yeah,
Just say,
we
hey,
love
I have some really
Skillet was
great
always mine.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
I
were my
love
favorite band
Skillet.
growing up. We got to do Life Fest with them last year in Wisconsin, and in 2021 when the drive-in tours happened during COVID when they couldn't go into arenas, they
Yeah.
Skillet. I was already working with the drive-in tours with Zach Williams and different people like that, and Big
Mm-hmm.
Daddy Weave. And
Yeah.
Skillet announced that they had signed a contract with that company. So I talked that company, and then the drive-in in my town. I was like getting back and forth with them. I was like, "Hey, we got to make this happen. We gotta get Skillet here," and it ended up working out, and I got to work with Skillet, be their driver for the day and everything, because that's what they do when you have those.
Awesome.
They have a runner for the concert, and they try to hire somebody that's relatively into the music industry, so they're not going to
Mm-hmm.
like freak out and fangirl all over them and stuff. And so I understood my job is to drive them from point A to point B, back and forth from hotels to their buses and stuff.
Okay, well,
And
I'm out because I would just
because
fangirl all
that's
over
how
the place.
they
I'm
like they're
out.
like we can't hire somebody that's just going to be like freaking out the whole time. Like even like Mac Powell of Third Day, I got to drive him to the airport after a show during the drive-in tours. So he was in my car for like 30-40 minutes. We just got to chat and talk about music and stuff. So it was a really cool
That's
experience,
awesome.
and especially that one because Skillet was my
Yeah.
favorite band growing up, and I
Yeah.
grew up just a couple 100 feet from the drive-in in my town, and it was like suddenly they were in my backyard. And then the next day they were about an hour away in another part of Virginia, and I got to work that one too. And they had taken Jen Ledger's
That's
drum
awesome.
heads off of her drums and replaced them with new ones, and they had all autographed one of the drum heads, and I bought it at the end of the night because I was like, this is the drum head she played in my town, like that. I mean, because
That's
I live in a
fantastic.
little small town, like it's not
Right.
a town that you think Skillet or any like Toby Mac, like all of them came to my town on this drive-in tour because I was able to
Yeah.
get it. And I did a podcast last week and I talked about it, but I wasn't it wasn't a video podcast. So if I can
Right.
figure out how to flip my camera here, I can actually show you it because I didn't get to show it on the other broadcast when I did backstage with Mothership. But there it
Oh,
is.
that's awesome.
So
I
that's
love
like
that.
all their different signatures. And I got see Tate Olson, their cello player. I know him. He played on one of our songs, and me and
Yeah.
him have hung out at a couple different times. So I asked him to sign it because normally he wouldn't sign it since he's just like an extra band member. But I had him sign it. But it says the Skillet Drive-In Tour 2021 and stuff like that. And then I played with a rock band for a little while, and they played at the Grizzly Awards, which is like the Dove Awards of
Mhm.
Christian heavy rock music and stuff. And
Right.
so that's just some of the different accolades there. Sorry.
That's awesome. Thank you
Get
so
back to
much.
flip around. I just got to
I
thinking about it because I was like, well, I didn't get to show it on the last.
Yeah.
We talked about it, but I didn't get to show it. So at least I could show
Yeah.
it this.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm up here in northeastern Iowa, about an
Iowa.
hour, maybe 45 minutes from Wisconsin.
Okay.
Prairie du Chien, so northern Wisconsin. So like if I run into John Cooper, we're gonna get you on that
Okay.
tour.
Yeah, they still live there. And see, we know their former drummer, Lori Peters, the one that she played on their Comatose album, which is still my favorite album. I know
Mm-hmm.
her very well, and she played on our Quarantine Tapes album for us. She did drums on one song. Because Quarantine Tapes, when we did that album, it was it was during the pandemic, and I had this idea. I was like, why don't we start? Because like what we were talking about earlier, like technology has advanced to where I could literally message someone in Texas and Wisconsin, et cetera, and we could work on songs together and bounce tracks back and forth, and it sounds like we're actually playing together by the end of it. And so that's what we
Right.
did. And one of the songs, Lori Peters and her husband played on it. She played drums and he played piano, and he co-produced it with me. And I think he actually mixed that song too. So we got to know Lori Peters that way. And then she was playing with the band at Life Fest when we played with Skillet and For King and Country and all them last year. So we actually got to
Yeah.
finally meet in person and hang out. And then like I was doing a guitar solo and then like looked up and she was like standing in front of me filming me with her phone. And I was like, the former drummer of my favorite band growing up is filming me playing guitar right now. And my brain, like I almost started messing up because I was like, my brain is about to explode.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, God opens doors, and we're all just kind of in this together. We're all children of God, and
Yeah,
so
exactly.
we're gonna spend eternity together. It doesn't, one day you're gonna be with him forever. But for King and Country, I messaged him and asked him to be on the podcast, and he said, not right now. We're super busy. We got this and this going on, but ask us again later. And I said, oh, don't worry, I will. And he
Yeah.
said, LOL. I can tell already that you will, and I look forward to it. And I'm like, yes, though
Yeah.
it was,
They
I
are
didn't get it.
constantly busy.
I didn't get a yes, but that was not a no, and I got a laugh. So we're going to keep
Yeah. Definitely wasn't a no. Yeah,
right. It
they're
wasn't
they're
a
cool
no.
guys, but they're very, very busy with all this stuff because they're constantly touring and then now they're making movies and stuff. So they're just
Yeah,
always busy.
I am. But, I'm just fearless like that. I'm like, well, I mean, all you can do is tell me no. I'm just going to ask, right? Let me
Yeah, for
think
sure.
who. I don't know any better. Maybe it's because I'm just a little Kentucky girl and I just don't know any better. So I'll just be
Mhm.
like, hey, Steven Tyler, want to come be on my podcast? I don't know. Right. But
Yeah. So you're originally from Kentucky?
yeah, I'm from Eastern Kentucky. So
Okay, gotcha. So
yeah.
like what area? Because I just asked because we've done stuff in Kentucky before.
Kind of like a little bit west of Ashland, Kentucky.
Okay.
Do you know where that's at? Like they're on that West
That's
Virginia
excellent.
border, right on the
Yeah, okay.
Ohio
So see,
River.
that's like was where we're in Virginia. Like I'm in the the tip of Virginia, so I'm like I can be in West Virginia in 30 minutes. I can be in Tennessee. I can be in Kentucky. I can be in North Carolina, all within a 30-minute period because I'm right in that middle. So like
Right.
we played with Striper in Hazard, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Done stuff with
Hazard.
Petra in Louisville, Kentucky, or Louisville, or something like that.
Louisville. If you're from
Louisville, yeah,
Kentucky, say Louisville. Yeah.
Louisville, yeah. Well, that's why I was
Yeah.
when I went to Richmond the other day. Somebody was saying Appalachian Mountains, and I'm like, it's the Appalachian Mountains. Thank you.
Right. That's where I'm from. That's the other side. Louisville's clear on the other side. Speaking of
Gotcha.
Petra, we had their opening
Hmm.
act
Yeah, not a
on
shame.
Not Ashamed. Right.
Yeah.
And now you guys are on. So that's awesome.
Yeah, we got to know them pretty cool because they're kind of like over the Petra shows. So like Not Ashamed was the ones that like because I'm friends with the keyboard player of Petra. He produced our
Hmm.
early music, like he mastered it and stuff for us when we were first starting
Hmm.
out. John Lowry, their keyboard player, and
Yeah.
so he gave me backstage passes to a show in Tennessee a couple weeks ago. And so like the
Hmm.
lead singer of Not Ashamed was the one over that and making sure I had my backstage passes. And then me and him have discussed possibly doing some stuff with Petra next year. So I've been talking to the Not Ashamed
Yeah.
guys a lot recently. They're pretty
That'd
cool.
be, yeah, they were really super, super nice. That was a good episode. And I said, so if I mosey down, because they're getting ready to do Paducah, maybe Louisville again, Louisville and Paducah or Paducah and Bowling Green. They're getting ready to do a couple
Mhm.
shows here in September in Kentucky. And
Oh, okay.
I was like, so if I just mosey down, he said, mosey on down. We'll get you some backstage passes and get you
Oh
in.
yeah,
I'm
they're
like, what?
really laid
They're,
back and chill about that stuff.
yeah. So,
Because they ended up booking a Knoxville, Tennessee show, and I'm not available because I'll be DJing a wedding that day. But my dad and then our bandmates, their dad, they're gonna go, and I got them backstage passes and stuff for it too.
good.
Um,
That's
so they can
really,
go.
I grew up listening to Petra. So,
Oh, I mean,
that's
I cut my teeth on Petra because it was my dad's favorite
right.
band, and then my
Right.
bandmates, it's their dad's favorite band, and he actually had a guitar made by Bob Hartman, the guitar player, and he brought it to have them sign. And then at the end of the night, I went backstage
What?
and asked Bob for the guitar pick he played with that night, and he gave it to me, and I got to give it to him so he could put the Bob Hartman signature Petra pick on his guitar. So it was cool.
That is actually awesome. So he has a guitar made by Bob Hartman. Tell me about that. Bob Hartman makes guitars.
I don't know if he still does, but I know like maybe like 5 or 10 years ago he made guitars for a while because it's kind of like a Stratocaster type guitar body. It's a light blue guitar, but he even played one of his signature guitars at the show. So I guess he still makes them at least for himself. I don't know if he still sells them or not, but
Hmm.
I don't know to the extent whether or not he actually like made them, like built the wood and everything, or if he got different pieces and put different stuff together, kind of like how
Right.
Van Halen made the Frankenstein guitar. It could be like that. Could be different
Right.
kits that he put together. He's like, I like this
Right.
body, but I like these pickups, this sort of thing. I really don't
Hmm.
know. I didn't. We chatted about guitars and stuff, but we didn't talk about that to that extent.
Yeah. I can't imagine building a guitar, but I can't, I'm not creative or handy
Yeah.
like
It
that.
would be cool.
And
I'm sure it's hard to do. I kind of looked into it one time with a friend who was a luthier, and I bought some parts, but it just never really happened. But there's a lot that goes into it, and apparently once you build it, you can't even play it for a while because it has to sit and cure for like a really long time or something. It just sounded like more
oh,
work than I was willing to put into it, and more money. So I was like, I'll just buy a guitar. I don't need to. I don't want to
what's your
build one that bad.
favorite kind of guitar?
So the funny thing is I was really into like Stratocasters and Les Pauls and PRSs and things like that. But I always thought Telecasters were like too country when I would see people play them. And I was like, oh, these are country guitars. Rock people don't play these. And
Right.
We were playing Kingdom Come Fest in Indiana, and we went up to Sweetwater because like I buy all my stuff from Sweetwater, so we wanted to see the facility. It's like the Disneyland of and Disney World of guitars and music places because it's just so giant. And it's the first music. I'm a left-handed guitar player, so I play
Oh,
guitar a little
okay.
bit different. Like everybody plays this way, I play that way. And so it's the first place I've ever been where they had multiple options of left-handed guitars. And I picked up a Telecaster and played it just for the heck of it because it was the first left-handed one I saw, and just it felt so amazing in my hand. I was like, oh my lord, this is the best thing I've ever felt. And it sounded
Right.
good too. I'm like, well, this doesn't sound twangy or country at all. What in the world have I been thinking all these years? And
Right.
Carrie, my now wife, she wasn't my wife at the time. She was my mm, at that time she was my girlfriend, but was about to be my fiance. She didn't know that yet, but I'd already had the ring and
Okay.
stuff. But
Uh-huh.
so anyway, I'm very ADHD when I tell a story. I have to keep every
No,
layer of
it's
it.
good. I
But
like the little rabbit trails. I like
yeah,
those. That's
but
good.
um,
Yeah.
but so she saw how much I liked it, and so that year she got me a Telecaster from Sweetwater for Christmas, and it's I play it. It's the only guitar I play live anymore. Like all my other guitars are just in the corner
Perfect.
collecting dust, sadly, because I just love
Right.
it so much. I don't need to play anything else. I just love this.
Right. So how about, do you have it there?
It is downstairs. It's not in my studio
Oh,
right now.
I was hoping you
Yeah,
would play us a song on it.
I mean I can just it's on my acoustic guitar would be what I'd be playing a song on. If you want me to
Oh,
play a song.
yes, I would love you to play a song. What kind of
Yeah.
guitar? What is your acoustic
Uh,
guitar?
the acoustic is a Takamine. It's what I
Oh,
call the poor
okay.
man's Taylor because like Taylor guitars are like 12 to $1,500. This is like a $400 to $500 guitar. But when you put it in a sound system, it has its own little EQ and stuff on it, so you can make it sound kind of bright like a Taylor. But yeah,
Yeah. I have one of each. I have the Takamine. I have a Taylor. It's my favorite. I'm a Taylor girl.
I like
Actually,
a lot.
I'm a Gibson girl. I can't really
I
afford the
got you.
Gibson. I can't afford the Gibson I want. But
That's
I
how it
think
goes.
that's how it goes. So I settled for the Taylor, but a long, long time ago, Taylor made all their guitars here in America. They don't now. I think lots
Oh.
of them, the cheaper ones are made in Mexico, which is fine, but
Hmm.
they used to be really handmade. I think it's out in California. And
Hmm.
so I still have one of those from a long before they got look, I think my kid was like 4, so 20 years ago, before they got
Hmm.
terribly expensive. They were still expensive. I think I paid maybe 600,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's
Yeah, now it's
probably
like
now it would
in
be like
thousands.
2000. Yeah.
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
I actually set out to buy a Martin at that time. Didn't know much about guitars. I was younger. And at the music store at the mall in Macon, Georgia, he said, I was playing Martins and he said, "You ever heard of Taylor?" And I said, "No." And he said, "I'd never even heard of Taylor." And he said, "Well, Taylor guitar, I think, has a better sound. Let me get you
I
one."
would
And
agree.
he handed me this Taylor and I strummed it once. I was in love. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm getting.
And it just has
But
a better feel to it. There's just something clunky about a Martin that just
yeah,
it's good for
yeah,
what it is, like for bluegrass and for country music and stuff. But it just I've never played a
right.
Martin that I'm like, yes, I would love to have this.
Right. Yeah, me either. And I'm not dogging Martin. They're fantastic guitars, but I just, because I'm more acoustic, folksy kind of
Hmm.
singer, Taylor just has a better feel and sound for me. So, all right, what are you going to play for us? I'm going to put you on full screen here. So I'm going to give you center stage and you
Okay.
can tell us what you're going to play and if you wrote it and a little backstory to it.
Yeah. Um, this song here is called Reason. It's when we were doing the album, we already had 9 songs finished for the album, and this song right here wasn't originally a plan of it. It was just a demo that I had done a couple years ago, and one of the songs we were working on really wasn't working out. So I was like, well, maybe I could do something else. And I found this song, and the funny thing is, it was originally written to be like an acoustic kind of chill song, and it sounds like that when I played on an acoustic, but once we started working on it, it became more of like a big band song. It had the big thing is it's got guitars and big drums, a lot of toms, and it's got trombones and trumpets on it. And so my wife played trombone on it. And then one of my former special needs clients, his sister, who's in high school band right now, she came and I surprised her and let her play trombone on the song as well. So it's a real big band song when you listen on the record, but it still, to me, sounds really good as an acoustic song. So it's not like one of the singles off the album or anything, but it might be like one of my favorite songs I wrote for the album just because it wasn't originally part of the plan. It just kind of happened last minute. So that's what I'll be playing live. It's called A Reason.
I've been waiting for you to tell me to move. I get lost in your melody. Such a beautiful and wonderful mystery. And you're the song I sing. Yeah, you're the song I sing. I will raise my voice in the midst of my despair. I will sing your praise, 'cause I know that you still care, and you're right there. Even though my heart is breaking, can you pick up the pieces? Lord, give me a reason. This life keeps dragging me down. Every turn I take, like an ocean wanting me to drown. But I know the God who walks on the waves, and in you I am saved, so I won't be afraid. I will raise my voice in the midst of my despair. I will sing your praise, 'cause I know that you still care, and you're right there. Even though my heart is breaking, can you pick up the pieces? Lord, give me a reason to sing another day. Give me a reason, 'cause God, I'm not okay. I'm trying to be better, trying to be strong, but God, I need your help to keep standing tall. I will raise my voice in the midst of my despair. I will sing your praise, 'cause I know that you still care, and you're right there. Even though my heart is breaking, can you pick up the pieces? Lord, give me a reason. Give me a reason, yeah, give me a reason. Give me a reason.
So tell us what is coming the next year for Forsaken Hero? What is your rest of 2023 and into your 2024? What do we have to look forward to?
So the big thing for us was putting out a full 10-song album, because over the last couple of years we had just done a 5-song EP, a 5-song EP here and there, and so we worked really hard to do that. So we put that out in May, and we're just really promoting that a lot right now and getting those songs out there. And we have one of them on radio right now, and we'll be playing some camps this year. That's about all we're really doing live wise. We just did our album release party 2 weeks ago, so that was our big local show that we did. So we'll be playing like a camp in Alabama and stuff in a couple months. And so not doing a whole lot of live stuff right now, but hopefully we'll do more stuff in the coming year. And we've had some ideas for a project where we might in a year or two go into like a cabin for a week and just bring all of our recording equipment and just turn off our phones and just write and record songs across a week and then send them off to a professional mix artist to mix and master. So that's an idea we've been having, to like just go to a cabin out in the woods, seclude ourselves from the world, and just kind of come together as a band, since that's something since we normally do it the other way, where we're separated creating music, like get in a room together, write and record, kind of like what the Beatles did with the thing that they did years ago, but they came out where Disney Plus did that documentary of it. That's what kind of sparked the idea. I was like, oh, that'd be cool. But like they left each night, but like we would like stay in a cabin and just live there for a week or two and just write an EP. So that's kind of an idea that we've been toying around with, and just figuring out when we have the time to do something like that.
I think it sounds great. Could end in bloodshed, could end in brilliance. You know?
Yeah. I mean, if it doesn't work out, we had a fun time. I mean, we can get in fights and stuff, but we're all very good friends. Like we go on, all of our bandmates, we go on non-music related trips all the time. We toured. Oh, that's really literally did a tour of the country without playing music. We just went to Colorado and the Grand Canyon and Arizona and all kinds of different stuff, and just drove around the country just because we're all just, we consider ourselves like a family band now. We're all just best friends. And
I think that comes through in your music when you do stuff like that, and you're close and you're bonded and you like each other. I think people can feel that in your music and feel that definitely on stage, like a stage presence. Like I think that makes it better. Yeah. So when you did your big album release party, was somebody your opening act?
Aaron Justice.
Aaron Justice
opened for us. He's an artist that I produced.
Is he?
Yeah, I produced him.
Yeah, I really liked him. He was with that acoustic guitar. Really. So you produced him?
Yeah, his 2 songs that are out right now, the Picking Up the Pieces and Whatever You're Doing, I produced both those songs.
Okay, Casey. Well, I know that you're super busy. Everybody's busy, and your wife is downstairs waiting on you, and you gave me an hour of your night. And I appreciate that so I really do. I'm so humble at everybody's willingness to help get this podcast launched and do what, we got 10,000 views in 5 days on that first video. So I just took that as, awesome. I was like, this is just confirmation that I know I'm doing what God has asked me to do, and step out in faith, and had no idea what I'm doing. Still don't have any idea, but it's going better than I could have ever imagined. And I'm really super humble, but it's good to know that you're doing what God has asked you to do, and that, and I hope that, my prayer is not for me. My prayer is that every one of these podcasts reaches the people that they're supposed to reach, and that people get blessed or get encouraged or get the information they need. And also my prayer is for the artists. I really mean this when I say it, and God knows I do. I hope you get 1 million views. I hope you go viral. And I hope this just changes your whole entire life.
Sure.
I mean that. Right. So,
Amen.
Well, let's just wait and see what God's doing, So, all right. Well, thank you so much. And I have enjoyed the last hour. You are incredible. Your band is incredible. First off, I've been listening the last few days, had it kind of on repeat on my YouTube, and it was just amazing. And we will put all your information in the podcast description. We will link people can buy your newest album and all your EPs. You send me all that, whatever you want to be listed there, and that's what we'll do. Okay?
Okay. All right. So sounds great.
People know how to find you. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me.